Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to my channel guys. I hope that all of you are doing good. In today's video I'm going to review 3 fragrances from the house of Rue Broca. Now I've mentioned all 3 fragrances in some of my previous videos, but I've never done actual full reviews of the 3 fragrances. So I'll use the opportunity to do that today. The 3 fragrances are called Rue Broca Pride Intense, Rue Broca Hooked, and Rue Broca Touche. The first one that I'm going to talk about is going to be Rue Broca Pride Intense. It comes in this sort of a dark gray colored box. On the front you got Pride Intense, Rue Broca, the concentration EDP, the bottle size 100 milliliters, some additional information on the back and on the bottom as well. And then this is how the bottle of Pride Intense look. As you can see, it has this sort of a nice squarish design. On the front you get Pride Intense. The cap is plastic. It's not a very snug fit, but all in all the packaging is nice. Now let's talk about the scent of Pride Intense. Now all 3 fragrances that I'm going to show you today are clone fragrances, and Pride Intense is actually a clone of Paco Rabanne's Pure Excess. As you can see, the sprayer is pretty decent, and now let's talk about the scent profile of this fragrance. Now the opening is very heavy on the apple note. You get very fruity apple opening out of this fragrance, but unfortunately to my nose the apple feels quite synthetic, and I can even call it a little bit unpleasant, especially if you smell the spot where you've sprayed the fragrance up close. The opening is also, in the opening along with the apple note, you have some lavender, you have some sort of herbal spicy notes that are also I don't find very pleasant. On the dry down you get some woods, you get some amber, some patchouli, and especially on the dry down this fragrance will get you quite close to Pure Excess from Paco Rabanne. Performance with this fragrance is pretty decent. I get somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of performance out of this fragrance, with a pretty loud projection in the first about 1 hour. Price tag, this thing I paid less than $25 in order to get Pride Intense, and all in all it's a pretty okay deal considering the fact that this will get you close to Pure Excess and the fact that this thing has a decent performance. The one thing that I don't like about Pride Intense is the fact that, as I said, the opening, that apple note feels quite intense, as the name would suggest, and quite harsh and sort of artificial. Once this starts to settle down a little bit on your skin, the scent, at least to my nose, becomes more pleasant, but the opening is quite harsh and synthetic. If you enjoy my content guys, hit the subscribe button. That really motivates me to keep creating more useful content for you, and also really means a lot to me. Okay, let's move on to the second fragrance in this video, and that's going to be Hooked per Homme. The fragrance comes in this dark blue colored box. You got this interesting pattern on it. It looks something like stitches. On the front you got Hooked, Rue Broca, concentration EDP, bottle size 100 milliliters. Some additional information on the back and on the bottom. There's a production date, and the production date is May of 2023. And then this is how the bottle looks. It has a really interesting shape to it. It looks sort of like a dome of a church or something like that. It's very heavy, quite thick glass. You got a metal cap, so that's a nice touch. And all in all, the presentation and the bottle are really nice with this one. Now I'll show you the sprayer in action, and then I'll tell you more about the scent profile of this fragrance. It's a very decent sprayer. It feels like a little bit like it's a pressurized maybe, the sprayer. And now, as I said, all 3 fragrances in this video are clones of designer scents, and this one is a clone of Scandal per Homme from Jean Paul Gaultier. Now most places where you'll find information about this fragrance, they will market it as a clone of Scandal per Homme EDT, but to my nose this feels a little bit closer to the EDP. I don't know if Rue Broca tried to clone the EDT and ended up with a result that's actually closer to the EDP, or where they actually tried to clone the EDP, but to my nose this is closer to the parfum version of Scandal. The opening here is very sweet right from the get-go. You get a bit of artificial mandarin or orange note in the opening that doesn't feel very fresh, unlike what you get with the original fragrance. You get some spices in the background, and then the dry down is all about the caramel note, the very sweet caramel note with this fragrance. There are some supporting roles, some oud, some vetiver on the dry down, but it's all about the sweet caramel note. This feels very sweet, very thick, and all in all, as I said, at least to my nose, this feels closer to the parfum version of Scandal per Homme. When we talk about the performance of Hooked, this is a good performer. I get about 8 hours of performance on my skin with a pretty loud projection in the first 1 hour. In fact, it's quite strong, but then after the 1 hour mark, it's gradually the projection starts to die down. When it comes to the price tag, again, this is a very cheap fragrance. I paid roughly about $20, the equivalent of $20 to get Hooked per Homme from Rue Broca. All in all, this is a very decent alternative to Scandal, but one thing that I don't like is the fact that it lacks some of that freshness that the original fragrance has, and this feels a lot sweeter and a lot thicker, and you definitely need to really like sweet fragrances in order to enjoy Hooked per Homme. And on to the last fragrance in this video, the Rue Broca Touche EDP. It comes in this very small box that has sort of a black and white accents on it. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the name of the company, again the bottle size 100 milliliters, the concentration EDP, the production date is stamped on the side, and it's June of 2023, and this is very unlike almost any other Middle Eastern fragrances. With the small box you don't get anything close to lavish presentation. And then this is how the bottle looks. It has an interesting design to it, you know, it's kind of heavy, feels nice in the hand. The cap is plastic, but it's a snug fit, so you can securely pick up the bottle through the cap. On the top of the cap you get Rue Broca, and you got this nice little thingy hanging on the side. I'll show you the sprayer of this one in action as well. Again, this feels like a pressurized sprayer, and actually this is the nicest sprayer out of the three fragrances. And this fragrance again is a clone, and this one is a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultra Mauve. And it's quite a decent clone. You get very close, it will get you very close to the original scent, you know, that famous lavender and vanilla combo that you get with the original fragrance, with some mint, some ouds and spices on the dry down. As I said, this will get you quite close to the original scent. Maybe lacks a little bit of that sparkly bubblegummy feel that you get out of the original, but all in all this is very close, especially on the dry performance. This is a decent performing fragrance. I get somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of performance on my skin, with sort of a moderate projection in the first hour to hour and a half. Price tag, again, another super cheap fragrance that I paid about $20, the equivalent of $20 to get this one. And all in all, this is a very decent alternative to Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultra Mauve. And on to my final thoughts about the three fragrances mentioned in this video. Now I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my most favorite. And my least favorite will be Rue Broca Pride Intense, simply because I really don't enjoy the opening of this one. It's just too synthetic, that apple note in the opening of this fragrance, and also the performance here didn't impress me enough. So this is my least favorite out of the three. My sort of somewhere in the middle ground between the three fragrances will be Rue Broca Hooked. Now I cannot deny the fact that this is actually very close to the Scandal per Homme parfum to my nose, but it just feels a little bit too sweet and too thick for my taste. But other than that, this is quite a good alternative to Scandal, the parfum version. Very good looking bottle, heavy quality, nice sprayer, decent performance, cheap price tag. If you are looking for a decent alternative to Scandal per Homme EDT or parfum, you can definitely check out Hooked per Homme from Rue Broca. And my most favorite out of the three fragrances will be Rue Broca Touche, simply because I really love the original DNA of Ultramol. Now, unfortunately, I cannot still recommend this fragrance, you know, over some other options out there if you're looking for a good clone of Ultramol. For me, better alternatives are 9 p.m. from Afnan and also Atar Al Weasel from the House of Al Watania. I think those two fragrances are the better options, but if you cannot get your hands on any of those two, then you can either check out Touche Pour Homme or Rams Silver from Latafa. But out of the three fragrances in this video, my favorite one is Touche. So guys, in today's video I showed you three fragrances from the house of Rue Broca. I hope that you found this video interesting or informative. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.